the Chiefs. So, significant ins and outs, Nelson, on the Chiefs. If we scroll into that, do you want to give us the ins?
Yeah, we've got a big name in John Ryan. Some of you might not know who that is, but he's from Ireland and Munster, 34-year-old, 201 games for Munster, plus a couple for the Wasps as well.
He was in that Wasp side that dissolved, so he went straight back to Munster on a short contract after that.
There you go. Found his way in New Zealand, 24 caps for Ireland between 2016 and 2021. Had a bit of a run with the Barbarians last year as well. So we've got him coming across being, quite a pivotal player for them this year in their 23.
Particularly covering for Angus Tarbow, who's had his neck surgery and won't be playing all year.
Yes, so assume he's going to be getting big minutes. We've also got Manaki Selby-Rickett coming across from the Highlanders as a lock, Damien McKenzie, the return of the Mac, covering fullback, covering 10, just get the man on the field, bulk minutes. He's an exciting player. And Nani Punabai coming across from the Highlanders as well, who's had, mixed chances there, but has been exciting in certain glimpses.
Yeah, and on the outs, we've got Sione Mafileo and Ruben O'Neill, two props. Ruben O'Neill missed all of last year with an injury and again listed as injured and not available this year. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but obviously a pretty serious one for him. So hopefully we do see him back. Hamilton Burr drops back into the cover list rather than the starting squad, the main squad. Mitch Brown has gone over to Japan, the back rower who we saw play so many minutes at lock and back row, and often, we didn't think it was going to happen, to be honest. But
he seemed to be there next to fix it for those.
He really was. He really was. I think he would have packed down at hooker if they needed him to.
Yeah.
Mitch Jacobson, obviously his brother in the side as well. Caleb Trask, another young fly half playing over at Honda Heat in Japan. Jonah Lowe gone over to the Highlanders looking for opportunity. Chase Tiatia over to the Western Force, again looking for more game time. And
a better country.
Sure, yeah. And can't go past as well their director of rugby, Warren Gatland. I did hear somewhere that he didn't really enjoy that role. He wanted a more hands-on coaching role. He's gone, but obviously a lot of continuity regardless with Clayton McMillan still there.
Yeah, there's still a lot of talent in this squad as well. Are we going to jump across and talk a little bit about the replacements for the preseason?
Yeah, well, they've signed, I think it's 12 players or something like that as not full season contracts, but as the injury replacement players. They basically already named them. And I mean, there's only one reason that we're really bringing this up, and that's because of
Solomon Alamalo.
So apparently he is in a pretty good headspace. He's come back from the Highlanders over back to the Chiefs to his spiritual home, I'm sure. And they said he's got to work through a few injuries trying to get his body ready for Super Rugby again. He has played a bit of minor 10 minor 10, for Bunnings NPC, sorry, over the last couple of years as well. So we're kind of hoping that. No, I'm going to change my words there. We're not hoping that he gets a run because that would mean there's an injury to one of the outside backs. But if he is given a run, I think we know how high the ceiling is in his talent, and we think that he could be an absolute standout player. So he's going to come up again when we start talking Smokies, but it's a bit of a spoiler.
Yeah, look, it's hard. You say we don't hope he's going to get a run, but we do hope he's going to get a run. He's a player with so much excitement, with a really tough few years. So I 100% want to see him get a run. I don't wish an injury upon anyone else. He can break his way into the squad by...
It's impossible.
Yeah. Injure someone else. Fake an injury. I don't care. Look, he needs to work his way into this squad. If you have a hooker go down, a prop go down, I don't care. Get this man in. There will be an injury in this squad. And if he is working hard enough, he is talented enough that you just make way for the bloke.
Yeah, look, I think they're obviously treading carefully, trying not to put too much pressure on him with his mental health issues. So we wish him the best and hope we get to see him out in the park because he's very, very exciting.
Alamalo!
That's right. I haven't even done that yet, have I? Alamalo! Anyway, we'll push on. The best 15 or the best 23 for the Chiefs now.
Geez, these images just keep getting better.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, hang someone.
So we'll jump into the forwards. We've got Aiden Ross in the loose head with John Ryan, we touched on earlier, in the tight head. Will be a pivotal position for them throughout this year. Samasoni Takiaho, I can't yell everyone's name, but that was a fun one too. In the hooker jersey, very important player through the last few seasons and again through 2023. Brody Retallick, you might have heard him before. Tupavaya, his locking partner. And then we go across into a pretty exciting back row with Luke Jacobson, Sam Kane, and Petagust Suwakula. I don't want to yell that name, but I do want it.
Yeah, okay. Brad Weber, Brendan Gatland is the 9 and 10s in our top side. Gwyn Tapia and Anton Leonard-Brown in the centres. And Ateni Nanai-Saturo, Shooter Stevenson, and D-Mac McKenzie in the outside backs. It's just every year we say it for the Chiefs, but it is fire, absolute fire.
Geez, there's a lot of people still missing it.
I know, right? There's so many ones that aren't in that 15, but let's go to some of them.
Yeah, so we'll jump into the bench. So Bradley Slater, we've got covering hooker from the bench. Ollie Norris, and then for the tight head, we've got either George Dyer or Atu Molly.
Yeah, Dyer, the preferred player at the back end of last year. I just know that Molly's had a lot of injuries and he's obviously an excellent prop. So if he can get his body right, I think that is still a good opportunity to push in and take the jersey.
We've got Josh Lord down, but let's not forget they've got Anatua Akoi, they've got Lachlan McWonnell. There's Selby Rickett has come across this year. I think Harry's going to have a little look at casualty ward. Do we have any injuries for any of those guys as well?
Nah, they just decided they wanted to stock every single young lock in the country.
What I
was going to say is the reason we've gone with Josh Lord is because he's got his first 2 New Zealand caps last year. So it's hard not to see him as the front runner. But yeah, as you very rightly touched on, there is just so much depth. All of them are so good. I think personally, it's really disappointing to see Manaki Selby Rickett coming across. You don't have reasons for it. It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I would have far rather than he played big minutes over at the Highlanders this year. Instead, I can't see why he would get any time at all in the 23 this year.
Unless he's wanting to try and be like a 6 lock cover or something like that for them. But, maybe he's taking a position off one of the next guys we're talking about, Samapeni Finau, as a bit of a utility cover on the bench. But yeah, we've got Samapeni Finau down as a back row.
Well, I mean, he's an absolute weapon, and he was just hitting everyone so hard last year. But you've got to remember as well, Tupavai is trying to make himself an international 6 hybrid as well. So I think they've got some versatility there, which means that it's going to be hard for anyone to push into that side. In the reserve backs, we've gone for Cortez Ratama over Xavier Rowe in the All Black 15 squad. The backup squad last year on New Zealand 15 side, and there's big raps on him as probably the more likely player to come through. But obviously Xavier Rowe, another excellent young 9. I think both of them have big futures. And then we've got Alex Nankerville, who I just can't believe isn't in this side. Personally, I was tempted to put him in for Shooter, but Shooter's just playing so well, so much better than expected that I couldn't really bring myself to do it. And then finally, I've got Josh Ioane in the 23 jersey as well.
Just to highlight some of the changes that we could see here. We could have D-Mac at 10, Josh Ioane at fullback. We could see Narawa come onto a wing. He's a really exciting player. Alex Nankerville, he could easily be starting in the centres. I know you were saying that. I just love the bloke. And I could.
He's got 2 All Black partners. He's not starting above him. He'll get a run. He'll rotate through and get time.
Look, they weren't afraid through parts of last year to give him a start over Tobias.
I mean, Anton Leonard-Brown was injured all year, so that helps.
But still, they had Anton Tobias out. They had Nankerville on wings at certain points. Yeah. They were trying to get.
That's what I mean. Just get him on
minutes.
The side. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a really exciting player, and I think he's a player that's still evolving, and he's brilliant. So.
Yeah. Look, on the key questions for the Chiefs, I've got point 1, locking lunacy. Do you like that?
I like that.
Retallick, Vai'i, Lord, McWonnell, and now Manaki, Selby Rickett. I think we've discussed this enough, but in my eyes, Selby Rickett ain't getting a run, and McWonnell's probably the next one. That's probably the least likely, I think. The other's probably a little bit ahead. I haven't even got Natua Akoi there. Like, there's so many.
Yeah. Somehow you missed him. But yeah, it's tough to rattle them all off the top of your head.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And look, we've touched on the next key question as well, Nankerville's role. Do you think he'll get time on the wing?
I think he'll get starts. No, I think he'll get some starts, whether it's rotational stuff in the centres, getting a chance on the wing throughout points of the year. He will be a player that does get starts. I just don't see him in the starting side week in, week out.
Yeah. Josh Ioane, is he on the outer or can he actually get a starting spot back? He started at 10, 12 and 15 playing big minutes for Otago every single week. So he's obviously showing his versatility over there. I don't think the 12 jersey is going to help him at all in this side, to be honest. Yeah. And if DMAC wants the 15 or the 10, then, I mean, that's his as well. So that's the big question, really.
Look, if DMAC is your 10, if Ring Gatlin's not directing them around correctly and well enough, I think DMAC's your 10 and Josh Ioane is your 15.
Yeah,
and that could easily happen throughout this year. I don't want to say anything negative like that about Gatlin, but I mean, he has pressure in that jersey. And I mean, if DMAC wants the 10, then that's a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah. Look, and I think Gatlin's blew everyone away last year with how good he was.
Yeah.
But I am a big believer on you can kind of see the guys that have the potential to go to the next level. And for me, Josh Ioane is one of them. Yep. So if his head is in the game, I firmly believe that if he gets picked at 10 and was given the season, he'd be talked up as probably the next All Blacks fly half after the World Cup along with Per franchise.
I was going to say, yeah.
Whereas I just don't see Gatlin becoming that All Black 10 in the long run.
Well, we've got Barrett looking offshores, Moanga looking offshores. Surely DMAC goes, give me the 10 jersey.
100%. I think he will.
Yeah. So that's the chance. That's the chance there for Josh Ioane to slot in. Or we get Narrower slotting into that back three as well. So there's lots that could happen throughout this side. Stocks rising. Harry, do you have a stocks rising?
Well, my first one's going to be John Ryan, right? Like, but this is
he wasn't here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's probably the only player that's come out of nowhere and is going to make it in this squad. I do think that he's going to be their first choice, but he's also the elder statesman, so he might only play 30 minutes or maximum 40 minutes a game at 34 years old, considering the pace of New Zealand rugby.
Yep.
So I hope that he can get up to the pace to be able to play enough minutes. Otherwise, he'll be on the bench every single week, and they'll just be trying to finish their scrum strong. But in my eyes, it's a bit of a drop from him to George Dyer. They'll really miss Angus to Arval. So John Ryan, my stock's rising. And yourself?
Look, I might say Anton Leonard-Brown. He's had a few really injury-disrupted years. So if we can get him on the field, get some consistent game time. He's only 27. Throughout last year, through Super Rugby, he had 179 minutes.
Yeah,
it's not a lot of rugby. So, and I mean, I'm pretty sure 2021 he missed a fair bit of that as well. So look, he's a player with immense talent. Clearly an All Black quality player. Yeah. So I think if he's starting the season full preseason, he's one to watch for sure. Stock's rising.
Stock's falling. Alex Mangavel, we talked about the competition he has. Tupou Vaa'i, I think he's going to get a real push from Josh Lord this year. Josh Lord, if there are any locks that are coming through that I think actually have the opportunity to make a real name for them themselves in the international side in 2024, once you start to get a bit of turnover in that squad, I reckon he's probably the pick of the bunch for me. So I think he might actually end up above Tupou Vaa'i in the pecking order, but obviously there's such different players as well. So I guess it depends if they really want the physicality that Vaa'i can pick. And one more,
Xavier Rowe. So Xavier Rowe had a fair bit of runs, especially on the bench as the backup 9 last year. You having a chuckle?
Oh, he had the runs, apparently.
He had the runs. That's nothing wrong with that, guys. We all get them. Some more than others. But yeah, look, we're having him as someone whose stocks are falling because Cortez Radama, I think 21 years old now, lots of talk about him having All Black quality standards and just pushing really, really hard to get into this side. And who was it that was mentioning him? You had an article you were reading.
It was the Beaver.
Yeah,
loves him and said that he was he's picked for a breakout player for the year. That's right. Yeah. So not to discount Xavier Rowe, but I just think that he probably looked like he was a good chance at taking that next step last year, and maybe that the light there for him is maybe just a little bit dimmer. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Tahuri Orangi, big talk, but just didn't quite take that next step. Mind you, it's very hard when you're not starting every week, which neither of them will.
Yeah, very much.
And on the Smokies, guys, we've mentioned Solomon Alamalo. So, we've talked about that. And else, we've obviously said Portis Ratiman as well, so I won't talk about him anymore.
And Money Narrower. So we got to see him have a few runs last year. I think the year before, Mitre 10 Cup maybe at the time.
Yeah, he was a top
try scorer. So he's just an absolute electric winger. He's still only 23 years old as well. He is lightning. He's building experience with Bay of Plenty, a couple runs at the Blues before coming across to the Chiefs. I really, really want to see this guy getting game time.
Personally, I would pick him over Shooter. Shooter's great and has absolutely, silenced any doubters, but personally, Narrower for me, his ability to just cause absolute havoc when he has ball in hand
but
he's just such a hard man to put down as well. He's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Get the man on.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be favoured above Shooter in the side.
Chiefs tend to have, they want to have a reliable kind of experienced, more steady kind of wing. And I suppose maybe that's your Shooter Stevenson. Last year, this year, and Narrower doesn't fill that role. You got Eteni Nana Saturo on the other wing. He's not that kind of mold. You know what I mean? So I think if that's the way they're going to keep moving forward, it is Shooter Stevenson on that wing. But if they just want all out glitz and glamour, chuck Narrower.
I suggest they do.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the Chiefs.
That's what we want.
I know. That's the Chiefs.